Hey everyone, welcome to the Resistance Book Club. My name is Kita, and this here will be the K Jemisin Reads Volume 1. So let's sit back and relax and see what books that I read from her. Okay, so I decided to just break down her catalog. So, because she has a lot, K Jemisin. So I don't know how many volumes I'll probably do, but I'm just happy that I read half of, well, not half, but some of her works. And to be honest, like it was good. Like I really enjoyed the reading journey in this one. Like it was so good. So, first one up, as you can see when I showed it to you guys, we have the fifth season. So this here is the Broken Earth trilogy. I have read the entire trilogy. Before we even get started, spoilers for anyone who hasn't read anywhere past book one of this. So when I get to book two, if it's a spoiler to you, then just leave it alone. Go on to the next thing. Go on to the next book. Okay. That isn't involved in the trilogy. I will probably most likely put timestamps on there so that way you guys are able to just go to the one that y'all want. All right. So Broken Earth. Broken Earth trilogy, it's the at the end of the world, a woman must hide her secret power and find her kidnapped daughter in this intricate and extraordinary Hugo Award winning novel of power, oppression, and revolution. This is the way the world ends for the last time. It starts with a great rift, red rift. Across the heart of the world, soul continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal and long dormant wounds rising up to fester. This is the stillness, a land long familiar with catastrophe, where the power of the earth is wielded as a weapon, and where there is no mercy. So, yeah, and it holds true. This here, I had to give it a 5 star, to be honest. Yeah, I think when I was reading it, I was like, what in the world am I reading? Because I've never read anything like this. And I was sitting there just trying to figure it out. Like, wait, hold on. What is going on? It was the way it was read. So Robin Miles, she narrates the whole entire trilogy. And I believe at the time when I had listened to her, it was actually lower. I think I had her at like a 1.7 or 1.8. So I was listening very intently. This here is crazy. Like, it really does start off with death. It starts off with the murder son. It starts off with the missing daughter. Like, you are really getting everything in its wake, like the minute that this intro starts. Also too, again, like I said, Robin Miles narrates this. Is the total length of listening time is 15 hours and 27 minutes. I'm like, fam, what am I reading? So it's completely different. It's very heavy sci-fi, and I think that was the biggest thing for me, is that it had that sci-fi feel, and I was so impressed by the way Jemison did it. And I mean, like not the POV, but the um what you call it? Oh man, it's like the no, it's not like a third person talk. it's like breaking down the fourth wall of talking to the audience in a way, because she does that in pretty much majority of her books. So yeah, I was completely immersed in it. Now the interludes is I love the interludes because it helps. I do love some of the characters. Alabaster is probably like the crazy one in here. But you do follow a mother. Let me just say that you do follow a mother. I believe, I think her name starts with, is it? Hold on. No, wait. I can't think of her name. Oh Lord, I can't think of the lady's name. It's been a minute since I read it, but I remember like the some of the characters, but not their names. Like, yo, I be blinking on their names heavy in here. But anyway, you're following a mother, and all of these things started happening to her. And by not knowing where her daughter is, and then to deal with a son that is murdered, and to figure out what is going on with this world. Like, why is there this thing that has this huge power over the earth? And what is this weapon? Like, what is this mass destruction that's about to happen? Love the fact that we get the mother aspect of it, and her just being very, I guess you would say she was desperate enough to find her daughter and to figure out what is going on, and to see like, nah, like this is the end of the world. Like, this is not, we not fitting to be here this long. Like, something is definitely going on. But definitely I remember at the time it had all the feels of what it is, what it takes to be a mom, in the sense that you do anything and everything you can just to find your child, to also keep her from dying, to try to figure out like what is going on with your child, and the sacrifices that a mother has to make in order to get to their child. You know what I mean? So definitely was a great listen. Robin Miles does an exceptional job with it. And I promise you, when I noticed that I was like deep in to the book, I realized like I should have just had put her on two. And I did. Anywhere after that, I started putting her on two, because she is very easy to listen to. So she was making it very easy for this, for this read to go. So the second one, now, the first one left with a cliffhanger, and it was talking about what? The Obelisk Gate. In fact, it was talking about the Stone Sky too. But with that being said, this here, I'm going to read the synopsis. So, this is the way the world ends for the last time. The season of endings grow darker as civilization fades into the long cold night. Isan, once Demaya, once Cyanite, now Avenger, has found shelter, but not her daughter. Um, Isan is her name. Yes, yes. I just remember Alabaster for some reason, and I'm right. Instead, there is Alabaster 10 ring, destroyer of the world, with a request. But if Isan does what he asks, it would seal the fate of the stillness forever. Far away, her daughter, Nasan, I believe, is growing in power and her choices will break the world. Okay, so I didn't really want to give too much away in the first book. This one here, you're definitely dealing with Eson and Alabaster all the way through. And Alabaster ain't taking it from her. Like, he's trying so hard to, not trying so hard, but he pretty much has Eson like groveling at his feet to get the things that she want and to figure out how can I find my daughter and seal the fate of the stillness. So with that being said, while that is going on, Nasan, I think that's how you pronounce her name. Nasan is growing because now she understands that she has this power and the power is growing stronger, but she needs to find a way to wield this power, in a way that she can control the power that she has. This one here was definitely a 5 star. Like, I thought this one was 5, but honey, we gets into the second one and Jemison wasn't holding nothing back in this one. Robin Miles did it again with the narration and she really, really killed it. I think I had liked this one a whole lot better than the other two. Yeah, and that's saying something. Not many people can actually write I was just checking. Not many people can actually write a good sequel. It's kind of difficult. It's the same way like where artist has a sophomore album, but their sophomore album is trash because they put so much into the first one. Yeah, you would have thought that, but then when I look back on the fifth season, I'm like, I saw what you was doing. You just didn't want to give too much in that first book. Okay. And then you went ahead and said, nah, we going here in the second book. She did. The action was on point. Um, you know, it really kept me engaged. Isan, I was sitting there with bated breath, honey. I was like, all right now, mother, what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to do? It was everything. It was everything. And Nissan too, because it was what does this do to me without my mom? If I don't have my mom, how in the world can I control it because I need my mom? And that part was actually pretty good. And knowing that she was sitting there struggling with that. I believe she really was. But also to the emotional aspect of it, of her having this power and wielding it, but not being able to control it. So that's all that happened in book 2. Now, book 3, which is the Stone Sky, child. So Stone Sky. So it says humanity will finally be saved or destroyed in the shattering conclusion to the post apocalyptic and highly acclaimed NYT best-selling trilogy that won a Hugo Award 3 years in a row. The moon will soon return. Whether this heralds the destruction of humankind or something worse will depend on two women. Isan has inherited the power of Alabaster Ten Ring. With it, she hopes to find her daughter, Nasan, and forge a world in which every origin child can grow up safe. For Nasan, her mother's mastery of the Obelisk Gate comes too late. She has seen the evil of the world and accepted what her mother will not admit, that sometimes what is corrupt cannot be cleansed, only destroyed. Ooh, child, honey. Yeah. So now that I said a little bit in there, once we get to this one, shit was hitting the fan, honey. So Isan, so what happened again, it leaves off as a cliffhanger in the second one because in that one, when they said that Isan inherited the power of Alabaster, honey, she went ahead and took his life. And that was that. Um Now with that being said, with her, she's still trying to find her daughter. And then because of what Nassan was going through with her trying to hone in on the power that she is wielding, and it's getting even more stronger as the day go on, she, like I said before, she was battling with the do you know, like, I need my mom, to help me, or do I not need her? And I didn't want to say that in the second one, but when we get in here, yeah, she was definitely going through it mentally, and I really appreciated that because you don't really hear too much of how where a child that actually do have powers know that their mom is out there, but the corruption of what that does to a child can affect them with the power. Does it make them too strong or does it not make them stronger? In this case, because the emotional aspect of it is honing in on her powers, it making her too strong. So now with the even though you Isan had went through the thing with Alabaster, I'm trying not to give too much, going through the thing that she went through with Alabaster, only to master in on the Obelisk Gate. Now we have to work on the Stone Sky, and the Stone Sky is what the moons are, and that's what is the thing that is destroying, or the destruction of humankind. And lo and behold, is they not only find out about Nassan, but they found out about others. So now, what does a mom like Isan do in this case? So that's what it is. This one here, action was on point. Robin Miles does it again. Hold on. You know what? I forgot to mention how long it was. So this one here was 14 hours and 17 minutes, and Oop, let me show you this one. So the Obelisk Gate is 13 hours, 19 minutes. All right. So again, Robin Miles does it again. And it was everything. Oh, also too, in all three of these, they actually have this thing called a book track, which is sound effects, tempo, rhythms, like a score, a harmony in the background that is playing in the audio version, and it was good. Like it lend itself a great experience, to listen to Robin Miles and then hear all of the sound effects and everything else that was going on in the background. So I thought that was actually wonderful. But yeah, this one here, when it got towards the end, honey, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. But what a way to end it. It was a good ending. 5 star. Literally is a 5 star read for me. I couldn't believe how intense this whole trilogy could be, and the fact that I felt like this one here, man, she took her time, man. She took her time. It felt like she knew that there was a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that's exactly what we needed to be. A beginning, a middle, and a damn end. And she knew how to put the ending to paper. This here was a great sci-fi fantasy for sure. I do want to say a big, big, big thanks. So funny thing is that last year I was able to win a giveaway from Kiana Lachey, and I know she watches my channel. So thank you, girl, for blessing me with this, because this here was a definite great read. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And nothing much to say. I think you just have to go in knowing that this here is about a mother who feels like she is lost and is trying to find her way. This is about a child who has the issues of something is happening to me, but I don't have my mom there. You get what I'm saying? And then not only that, but you have this whole entire world of there's something about to happen. You can feel that something is about to happen, but lo and behold, as a mom, which one is more important? Do I get to my daughter or do I deal with what this whole black cloud is hanging over, our heads? So great, so beautiful. Love the writing in it. And yeah, it's a 5 star. The whole entire trilogy is a 5 star for me. Okay, so the next set of books that I read from K Jemisin is the Inheritance Trilogy. So the only thing that I didn't read is the short story novella that she had, which is The Awakened Kingdom. So this is just only the trilogy. So the first one is the 100,000 Kingdoms, and that one in this brilliantly original debut fantasy, a young woman becomes entangled in a power struggle of mythic proportions. Yane Dar is an outcast from the barbarian north, but when her mother dies under mysterious circumstances, she is summoned to the majestic city of Sky. There, to her shock, Yane is named an heiress to the king, but the throne of the 100,000 kingdoms is not easily won, and Yane is thrust into the vicious power struggle with cousins she never knew she had. As she fights for her life, she draws ever closer to the secrets of her mother's death and her family's bloody history. With the fate of the world hanging in the balance, Yane will learn how perilous it can be when love and hate and gods and mortals are bound in separably together. So this here was actually narrated by Cassandra Freeman. The listening length was 11 hours and 47 minutes for this. This one was actually really good. At first, I was like, I think I was still processing it because my mind was still on the Broken Earth trilogy. But I went ahead and like opened up my mind. I said, all right, let's get into this. So my mind was in it. Yang, it starts off like I'm telling you, starts off with a bang. Then we get thrust into Yang's like excuse me, Yang's journey and life. So and also dealing, and I mean like dealing with the king and dealing with her cousins. So that was mainly what the first book was definitely about. It was good. It hold its own. And then at the end, I was like, okay, all right, let me see where we going with this. You know, so in the arguments between the gods and mortals is pretty much funny. Like it's I was actually laughing like a few times in this. But Yane's character, she just going through the struggle of of royalty and why am I constantly trying to fight for respect, around here when we're all family, that type of thing. Because I think what it was is that because of her, I believe it, yeah, because of her mother, I don't, I think when her mother was alive, she was getting that respect, but now all of a sudden it's like the king is looking at her like, all right, well, you need to be doing this because you need to be doing something. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have to put your weight, pull your weight around here, and to be thrusted off. I hate when they do that. It's like, yep, kick you out, you'll find your way, and that whole tidbits. That's what it technically was in this book. Cassandra Freeman did a really good job narrating it. It's almost like Robin Miles, very easy to listen to. This one here did not have the book track in there. It was just Cassandra Freeman, just narrating it all the way. Um, I did love the world building. That part I should have said. I love the world building in both of these. Definitely felt very different from the Broken Earth trilogy. It felt like this here was just all on its own, and but it felt more of YA than it did an adult. And so, I figured she was young because of the circumstances that happened. And, but yeah, and it was kind of like it had its own adventure a little bit in between, when she's, um, hanging with one of her cousins, or I should say, one of the cousins is hanging with her, and then they're just trying to pretty much find a way where the gods and the mortals, will come together and let it not be any love and hate relationship with the two. So that was the thing for that one. So now in book two, the Broken Kingdoms, this one here, we are still challenging the will of the gods and change the fate of the world with one blind woman. So in this sequel, in the city of shadow, beneath the world tree, alleyways shimmer with magic and godlings live hidden among mortal kind. Ori Shath, a blind artist, takes in a strange homeless man on an impulse. This act of kindness engulfs Ori in a nightmarish conspiracy. Someone somehow is murdering godlings, leaving their desecrated bodies all over the city, and Ori's guess is at the heart of it. This one here was different. I felt like we took a step back because I don't know, it felt a little bit slower to me. But this here, I mean, listening length is 11 hours and 25 minutes. And like I said before, Cassandra Freeman is narrating the story. Um, you know, I did love the whole God's Immortal, the back and forth, the banter and everything. And then next thing you know, we get into book two, and then like, this whole thing of the desecrated bodies that were all over the city. Now, mind you, that one there, for each part that was said in that, I ate that up. That's for me. Um, but Yane, of course, she's the heart of it. The guest is Yane. And so now is trying to find out who was doing it, what this blind artist has to do with it, and what this homeless man also has to do with it. And it, like I said, this one here was like a step in a different direction from book one. And that's why I said in the book one, I didn't know where we were going, but I was still, trying to feel it out and see. But when we got to the Broken Kingdoms, I was like, what is going on here? You know what I mean? I felt confused in a way, because I'm like, are we still dealing with the gods and immortals? But then next thing you know, I get to the end, and then I said, okay, I think I understand a little bit. You're gonna have to drive it home for me in this one. So in book three, the kingdom of gods. So this one here, so Shahar and the godlings say must face off against the terrible magic threatening to consume their world in the incredible conclusion to the Inheritance Trilogy. For 2,000 years, the Arameri family has ruled the world by enslaving the very gods that created mortal kind. Now the gods are free, and the Ameris, or I should say, Mary's ruthless grip is slipping, yet they are all that stands between peace and world-spanning, unending war. Shahar, last scion of the family, must choose her loyalty. She yearns to trust Sei, the godling she loves, yet her duty as Our Mary heir is to uphold the family's interests, even if that means using and destroying everyone she cares for. As long suppressed rage and terrible new magics consume the world, the maelstrom, which even God fears, is summoned forth. Shahar and Sei, mortal and God, lovers and enemies, can they stand together against the chaos that threatens? And include also in it, it includes the never before seen story set in the world of the Inheritance Trilogy, which I did read. So this one here, again, Cassandra Freeman has narrated it. It's 16 hours and 58 minutes long. Okay, so we get into this one, and then I was like, where is Yang? Like, what happened to her story? I think we were missing it. I didn't realize that we were going to be jumping from one character to another. With that being said, did this work? It sort of did. I just didn't understand the landing of it. So I would have to say, like, this here is probably is good, but it's not my favorite, of this trilogy. But I get it, with the enemies to lovers trope, the romance of it, and also what's going to be your decision? Like, are you taking me out? Are you not taking me out? Like, which one is more important, your duty to your family or you being with me? And that one was at the forefront in this whole book. So the relationship between Shahar and Sei, it was good in the beginning, and or I should say in the very tad bit of the beginning, and the next thing you know, it started to dwindle, and then you started to understand what the Aramari family meant to the, or I should say, the world, the gods, I'm gonna say, because again, this whole entire trilogy is more about the gods and the mortal kind battling out. I just wish we would have dived a little bit more with the Yang character. And because of that, we ended up going from one character to another, and it just didn't land for me. I felt like these were like three different, completely different stories in the trilogy, and it needed, but I can see how it was all combined because it's like, what you call those? Different POVs that all have the same issue type of thing, and each one is trying to battle it out as to fight the gods and immortals, that I don't know how to explain it, but it's like different POVs have different stories where the commonality is the war, the unending war. So you're taken from these different POVs. Did it work? I don't know if it really worked for me. Because I was just listening, and then I'm sitting there like, okay, but when are we getting to, okay. So I just left it alone and just kind of like, all right, let me just see where we're going with it towards the end. And while I did love the Shahar and Sei story the most, I just wish there was, I wish we would have stuck to just one set of characters for this whole story, like how we did with the Broken Earth trilogy. But I get what K Jemisin was doing, and I just don't know if it landed for me. I think if anything, I would probably have to reread it again to see if maybe the feels will be a little bit different. But overall, I have rated the whole series. I rated it a 4 stars because it was definitely a good ride to be on. It was definitely like worth the read. I just don't know if I liked it as much as the Broken Earth trilogy, is what I'm saying. But other than that, like, because Broken Earth, like that joint still lives rent free in my head. But when it came to the Inheritance Trilogy, I was like, yo, I don't even remember half of it, but I remember some of the characters and what they were going through. But when it got to book three, and I was like, oh no, I remember these two, like their whole back and forth banter, their, who, well, which one is more important? You wanting to be with your family, or are you going to be with me? How are we going to get through it together? But why do I need to be with you? You know what I mean? So it was that one lives in my head more than the second one, even though it had desecrated bodies, but it still wasn't my favorite. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Broken Earth Trilogy still holds the cake for me. All right, so the next set of books that I read is The City We Became, the duology of that. So let's start with the first one. So The City We Became, this here again, narrated by Robin Miles, and the listening time is 16 hours and 12 minutes. So this one here it's a story of culture, identity, magic, and myths in contemporary New York City. In Manhattan, a young grad student gets off the train and realizes he doesn't remember who he is, where he's from, or even his own name. But he can sense the beating heart of the city, see its history, and feel its power. In the Bronx, a Lenape gallery director discovers strange graffiti scattered throughout the city, so beautiful and powerful, it's as if the paint is literally calling to her. In Brooklyn, a politician and mother finds she can hear the songs of her city pulsing to the beat of her Louis Vuitton heels. And they're not the only ones. Every great city has a soul. Some are ancient as myths, and others are as new and destructive as children. New York, she got six. This here was this was different. This was different. This was definitely fantasy, but with sci-fi at its best. I think I enjoyed this one a little bit more. I don't know if I enjoyed this more than what I wanted to. I'm a New Yorker, so I love how we're able to utilize um, the world, the whole New York City and what it has to offer, the culture, the identity, the magic, because there is magic to me when it comes to New York City. I'm a Brooklyn girl, so it's Brooklyn through in me every day. Same thing of me being raised in Queens. There's Queens in me also, in me every day. The only thing that I wish would have happened listening to this is that I needed to hear the accents. I needed to hear the accents because New York, we have an accent. And I'm sure plenty of y'all can hear it coming out of me at times. But yeah, especially when I say the word coffee. I don't know why, but it seems like everybody just knows just from me saying it. But overall, what I'm saying is being from New York, and if you're going to narrate it with the accent. But I realized that as I was reading, there were certain parts in there where it didn't need or call for the accent because you had like certain characters who really isn't originally from New York. So that was the other thing. So I let it go. I let it go. The characters that were in here from Manhattan to Bronx to Brooklyn, and I believe in Staten Island also, those were great. I love how they were all coming together, and it seems to show that with the city, even though it has the souls and they are the children of the souls, is the heart, is the magic. The magic is the soul. Uh what you how would you say? I wouldn't even say like what you put in is what you're getting out, like what you're seeing is what's out there on the forefront, but more so as when you're living in New York City, you get the full magic. The magic is with you. It don't even matter if you was born there. I think that's the whole important thing, is that you feel what you feel inside your soul, and that makes it New York. You know what I mean? So, in other words, it was trying to show that every single borough, when they come together, is even more stronger as opposed to it being apart, because that's what it showed in the book. And I actually thought of that when I was reading, and then as I'm getting towards the end, and I'm like, I think this is going out the way that I think it is. And left on a cliffhanger, it literally did, because once you get to The World We Make, which is book two, again narrated by Robin Miles, 12 hours and 58 minutes of listening, all is not well in the city that never sleeps, even though the avatars of New York City have temporarily managed to stop the woman in white from invading and destroying the entire universe. In the process, the mysterious capital E enemy has more subtle powers at her disposal. A new candidate for mayor wielding the populist rhetoric of gentrification, xeno, excuse me, xenophobia, and law and order may have what it takes to change the very nature of New York itself and take it down from the inside. In order to defeat him and the enemy who holds his purse strings, the avatars will have to join together with the other great cities of the world in order to bring her down for good and protect their world from complete destruction. So, this one here was probably the best one out of the first one. But yes, and I also forgot, yes, each one of the boroughs are avatars of their own boroughs. And so this woman in white, because I didn't want to say it in the first book. So the woman in white, she's going around town trying to put in their head. It's kind of like she reminded me of like a Scarlet Witch, where she's showing you all of your greatest fears and your the your greatest fears. We'll just leave it as the greatest fears. And you just trying to come out of that. And how are we supposed to defeat this person? Like, what are we supposed to do? But again, you all have to come together, because strength, there's numbers, but again, as a whole of New York City, who's trying to take the city and destroy it, y'all must come together and be the heart and the soul of the city. That's what it was trying to, I think the message was trying to, you know, express in this duology. And again, it was a 5 star. Like, this duology was a 5 star for me. I think for the first book, I gave it 4 stars, but the second book, I gave a total 5 stars. So put that together, you can round it up 5 stars or 4.5, whichever one. But either way, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that second one more, because and when listening to the second book, it literally picks up like right after the first book. So I that part I was like, oh yeah. So we're getting in there. I love all the avatars. I love how you get the good, the bad, and the ugly with all of them. Um, you get the understanding that, wait, if I go down, do we all go down? Like, what? How is this supposed to work? I'm not fitting to go down. You know what I mean? Like, we have all of that, but it was definitely um had its moments of identity, It had its moments of resistance, and it had the magic and the myth, and it was just absolutely great. Loved everything about it. Um, I think I believe like that one may come in a heavy second or first. I'm still trying to like rate her books, in that 1 through 5 type of situation, or my top three. But yeah, The World We Make, I love it because this one here, we started off following right after the first book. We're laying it down. We're getting all of what we need to get out of each and every one of these avatars, and they have a decision to make. That's it. So yeah, I loved it. Next one and the last book that I read from her is How Long Till Black Future Month. This here is short stories. These had a whole slew of narrators. So we have Shayna Small, Gail Nelson Holgate, Robin Ray Eller, Ron Butler, Kevin Stillwell, Janai Fleming, Jeanette Illich. The whole entire listening length is 14 hours and 10 minutes. So, K Jemisin is one of the most powerful and acclaimed speculative fiction authors of our time. In the first collection of her evocative short fiction, Jemisin equally challenges and delights listeners with thought provoking narratives of destruction, rebirth, and redemption. Dragons and hateful spirits haunt the flooded streets of New Orleans in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. In Parallel Universe, a utopian society watches our world, trying to learn from our mistakes. A black mother in the Jim Crow South must save her daughter from a fae offering impossible promises. And in the Hugo Award nominated short story The City Born Great, a young street kid fights to give birth to an old metropolis's soul. Honey, this here, 5 star, because once I was done, so what happened was I read The Broken Earth and Inheritance Trilogy. Then I read How Long Till Black Future Month. Those stories were like the ones in the Black Future Month, those are original demos of the story that she created in the Broken Earth trilogy, The Inheritance, and all of her other works, including The City We Became. Honey, I was here for it. Some of them were like, what were you thinking? But these here definitely, I call it the original demos of these stories. It's like, you know how a music artist has the original demos of their actual songs that is currently playing on the radio and whatnot. That's exactly what this is. That's exactly what she did. She just went ahead and put all of her original demo stuff together and handed it in and said, this is what it is. The Dragon and Hateful Spirits of New Orleans, I love that one. And I love the A Young Street Kid Fights to Give Birth to an Old Metropolis Soul. I love those two. The did appreciate the black mother in Jim Crow South and save her daughter from a fae, offering impossible promises, and the utopian society that watches over the world, trying to learn from our mistakes. You can take some of these and understand like where the stories are coming from. So I don't want to give it away. You would have to read these in order to understand what's in those short stories. But literally had a good time reading, listening to all of the narrators that did an awesome job putting all of this together. That one is my favorite. I love it. I love it because I love where her head was in that, and I love how all of that turned into what it is now. Oh my god, that one, yeah, that one was good. I really think I like the street kid one. I think that one was like towards the end of the book. But yeah, so good. So good. Um so now, taking all of that so far, I never thought that I would ever get to read from a Black author who writes science fiction and fantasy at the same time. Because sometimes, usually like it's that subgenre, or it could be heavy handed with the subgenre. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing sci fi, the fantasy is kind of less, but if you're doing fantasy, then the sci fi is less. She really sticks to being that sci fi writer and just adding the elements of fantasy. Her writing is beyond ahead of its time. I ain't gonna lie. Her writing is, like, for me, beyond its time. Because I've read others, like, from non-black authors, but this here, man, she's vicious with the pen. Man, she's vicious with the pen. Mm, 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 mm. I mean, just the way, yo, it's like the world building is building as you're reading the story, even all the way to the end. You don't have the info dump. The info dump is not needed. In some cases, some people do, some cases, some people don't. But this one here, done well, where you're just building as you are writing. You know what I mean? Writing the characters. Her character development too. You're the development is you following the journey of these characters. You know what I mean? The City We Became and the Broken Earth trilogy is literally my favorite, and I love the way she wrote them. Um, the details in it is so cool. Like, to really be a part of the story, to really just like have that understanding of what the intentions, the emotions, the level of destruction of what this world will come to in the end if we all don't put our heads together, if we all don't try to find a solution to the problems. It's like, yo, man, she really puts you on the edge of your seat. I always say that Black people do need to be more in the sci-fi space because I feel like we get it and we live it a little bit in this sense in our real lives. Because if you take The City We Became, you would kind of see that we live in that world where, I'll take the New York. We live in that world where life, the city never sleeps. That's always our motto. So because we live in in that motto, that magic just keeps coming alive from us as people. You know what I mean? Like, you can take that as a sci-fi. Everything around us and what we do, how we interact with each other, how we do our, handle our careers, that involves like creating something or building something, like all of that like goes into play as part of like sci-fi life, fantasy, the myths, the identity, the um, or sometimes a rebirth in a way. Our mindset, you know, of where we are in our lives. Like, is this important for me? Is this less important for me? Do I, you know, I want to live? Don't you want to live? You know, like it's all those questions that go into play. And she does a really great job doing that. And also too in the Inheritance Trilogy, like you know, you find that these characters are just regular people. They're human gods and the likes. You know what I mean? And all different types of people that have feelings too, you know, that just trying to live. I think that's the ultimate thing is that they're all trying to live. They all trying to survive this you know, what this world is coming to in the end. I mean, it seems as though her stories are definitely more of like ahead of its time. Like it gave me that sense of that. Her writing is sick, man. Her writing is sick. She is vicious with the pen. Vicious. So it takes me to that short story that I read from her, which is the very first story of Out There Screaming, the anthology book of Black horror. And when I'm looking back, so she had this story, and at first I really didn't like it. But then as I'm thinking back on it, I think I got it. I think I got it. So yeah, and I'm trying, how can I put it into words? The guy, he's a police officer. It's the very first story. So he's a police officer, black police officer. He has a white police officer friend, and something happens. He takes the car comes alive or something like that, does some things he can't really question. The So then this decision or the thing that happens kind of went into a different direction. And next thing you know, it's kind of like the black officer just kind of went down into this abyss a little bit and he just can't get out. And now I get it. I get it. Because that was the forward from Jordan Peele because of he took the concept from Get Out where it felt like you were falling and you can't get out. And that's what K Jemisin did. So now I actually appreciate it a lot more than I thought. Can't believe I still remember the story. Because literally at first I was like, I don't understand it, but okay, we'll move on. But now I get it. Um, she's sick with the pen. Like the character development, the atmosphere, the writing is all a 10. Like it's insane. It's insane. The logic of it is that she's just ahead of her time. She is really ahead of her time. Literally. This is insane. I can't wait to read more from her. My enjoyment of her work so far has been a 10. Like I can't wait to read more of her. I just only took a break because I like to take a break in between reading other people's stuff so that way I'm not like too uh tunnel vision where I will get into a reading slump. But yeah, this here hands down sci-fi fantasy elements in it. She's killing it. She's killing it. It's just so good. So literally, with that being said, I still love the Broken Earth trilogy. I think that would be like my number one. And then the world we made, the city we became, which is the Great Cities duology. That would be two. The How Long Till Black Future Month, I put that at three, and the Inheritance trilogy, I put that at four. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna change my mind again. I may end up doing another video and then everything will change. So we'll see. But other than that, this was a very good one. I really enjoyed it. So let me know if you've read any of the books. I know some people are not really into like diving deep into reading series like right after one another, but just let me know how you like the first book, how you like any of them. Did you care? Did it sound intriguing? Will you go back and read it again? Let me know down in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. And this is the way.